What is happening, guys? Welcome back to Red Beard's Garage, and on today's episode we're continuing on the super ATV build on the Talon. Now we're going to be doing some protection, and first off we're going to be doing a 1/2 inch thick skid plate. You can see on screen the comparison from the super ATV from the Honda factory one. It is 4 times thicker. The factory one is an 1/8 inch thick, and super ATV's is a 1/2 inch. So that's going to be super nice. It comes with all new hardware because we took this thing on one trail ride and we did a number on that skid plate. So this is going to help save our chassis from getting beat up and damaged. Another thing we damaged was a frame rail, and super ATV has these 2-piece Nerf bars, and I'm assuming they're 2-piece for shipping reasons. And it gives you adjustability because, you know, frames can be tweaked from hard off-roading. So first off, we're going to put the Nerf bars on, and we're going to pull the skid plate and then pull some plastic panels. Super easy. You do need a friend to help you hold these up. And I don't have any friends, I have my wife.
That's so rude.
Both of these parts are pretty much consumables. You're going to replace this at a later date because you're going to beat the Dale out of it. And you're probably going to replace these at a later date from beating the Dale out of them. We live in the Rockies, baby. So we're going to damage them probably this weekend. So we're going to be doing the driver's side of this Talon. The passenger side, of course, is just going to be an exact replica of this. Do have a push clip there, and we have these Allens all alongside, and then we have 2 push clips at the back. Some 10 mil bolts, probably covered in mud. We have a push clip right here at the rear of the buggy. So if we open the driver's side door, you'll notice 2 push clips, one here and one down there that we got to pull out, and then I believe we have to pull out a couple from in here. So let's get to taking them out. Took us a minute to figure this out. We've already did the passenger side so we don't look like a bunch of buffoons. There's one. There we go. Now we have one right here I think we have to remove. We're just going to pull a whole mess of them. I'm already let you know there is a ton of mud that's going to be on the ground, or dirt going to be on the ground. You got 7 10 mils under here. You can see we've already damaged some of these, like this one right here. We're going to have to use a wrench on it. Then we've damaged this one, have to use a wrench on it. We've ripped this one completely off. That one wasn't even bolted on. Oh, it snapped this. So that's why we need Nerf bars. We've dented this, snapped this piece of plastic. We can slide this out. Told you there'd be a lot of mud. So what we're going to do now is, you can see this line here. This is the front driver's side. We're going to cut this line out all the way down. And then we can put this right back on. We also got to cut one on the rear panel. Then you can see this was the problem with not having that thicker skid plate and Nerf bars. we was jamming and bending our bolts. This bolt was sitting in there sideways. We ripped this one completely off, which luckily we're going to be cutting that area out, so that don't matter. But yeah, we beat those bolts up a ton. This is one ride on this thing, and it wasn't like we was aggressive. We was riding it.
Yeah, it wasn't wild at all.
Yeah, we was just having a good time in the mountains. So I assume I'll be replacing these panels later on in life, but this has got a big ding in it, which sucks when you pay this much for a vehicle and then take it out the first time and beat the far out of it. So luckily, when we took the skid plate off and stuff, we have some of these spare bolts left over, so we can put some new ones in it, because they do have a shoulder on them and stuff. They're a special bolt for this. So now we can get to cutting these two panels out. Like I said, this is the rear panel. We cut this front portion out, which is nice because, like I said, we broke this tab off. Then we got to cut the other one off. We did bend the bolt in it as well. So I have this carbide deburr bit that's pointed, and I can use it to stab in and drag along this line. It works pretty well. Looks like we can actually fix where this pulled through. You can see it just pulled this ear, and it had a clip on it, so it's yanked that clip off. So I think if we put it back on, the Nerf bars will protect it and that won't happen again. So we'll get this installed and then we'll pop that clip back on. Okay. Okay, now we can put the front panel on. Now I'm gonna put the bolts in the bottom last. I'll get all the upper bolts and clips in, then we can do that last. So those two clips we took out in the floor pan are for these. You kind of got to rock this thing. It's easier to slide it in kind of like this. I'm getting caught every which way here. Kind of a pain. And it's honestly probably easier to take a handful of extra clips out. Alright, there we go. And there we go, that's fixed. Now I'm going to go through my bolt hoard of bolts I've taken off this and try to find all new bolts to go along the frame. We can get the bottom side mounted up, and then we got to put the two halves of the Nerf bar together, and I'm going to have my lovely assistant hold it up there while I start the bolts, and then it's just tightened up that easy, lemon squeezy. So now with these pieces cut out, we have access to factory holes in the chassis that Honda has placed in there. So this is where the feet of our Nerf bar is going to bolt up here and back there where we cut out that other spot. So Super ATV gives you these locking collars, and they're like bored out on the inside. And you can see we have these pan head style flanges welded here, and these are going to clamp the two halves together. So we're using a 4mm Allen. Let me take our two halves, just like so, and we're only loosely putting these on here, and you want to make sure you get them clocked right so you can get to all the bolts when it's on the chassis.
Where does this go?
This one was quite a bit more of a pain than the other side. Everything went in flawlessly. On the other side, what we had to do was this middle cross brace wasn't lining up, so I had to stick a screwdriver in there and kind of pry it up, and that could be inconsistency in the chassis, in the jig. I highly doubt that. I mean, we have bashed the bottom of this thing a few times. So it's all installed. I'm gonna go back with a actual ratchet and fully tighten everything, make sure everything's good, and then we can start installing the skid plate. So you can see on screen that I've laid out the belly pan like you're looking at it from the bottom. So you can see it's got the recessed holes, and that's for these bowl washers to set in. And these are nice because the factory skid plate being 1/8 inch thick, your bolt heads was almost exposed. Where in here, they're sitting about 1/4 inch down in there. So eventually you'll have to replace some bolts, but that's one thing I'm gonna keep an eye on is my bolts. After every ride, maybe check it so I don't cram one so bad that I can't get it off. But we're gonna be installing the front piece. But if you're doing the frame stiffener, it looks as if you wouldn't do the front piece, but unfortunately we're going on a ride leaving tomorrow. We're not going to have time to do the high clearance A-arms from Super ATV and the Rhino 2.0 axles and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and install this, even though we'll be removing it. Just this little front portion. This is the very front piece that goes under your diff. So you are going to have to use self-tappers on this one because factory Honda didn't put a skid plate there. But they do give you a really nice quality 1/8 inch drill bit shown on screen that you can pre-drill the holes if you don't want to run them in with self-tappers. Pre-drilling them does help out quite a bit. And I have this super safely on 2 jacks, no jack stands. We're waiting on a order to come in from Ben Pack, and we're getting a lift for this thing, you know, like a 2-post lift and stuff. But you know, I don't have it right now, and my jack stands won't reach. So I'm gonna line this puppy up, get it screwed into place, and get the rest of it installed.
3 days later.
Well, right after the video, we took this thing riding, and we absolutely beat the Dell out of these Nerf bars. Luckily, that's the reason I was rushing to put these on, was because I knew we was going to Windrock Off-Road Park, which is local to me. And these Talons do not have a lot of ground clearance factory. A combination of 28-inch tires and soft coil springs factory, because of course they can't tune a buggy right out of the factory to fit every family's needs weight wise. This thing sets really low, so driver's side got the bulk of it. You can see put some real nasty dings, but this is the exact reason for Nerf bars. If I wouldn't have had these, my frame rails would have been beat up, my plastics would have been busted up. So that's why earlier in the video I said these are consumable items, because you will replace them in the future. Now it does suck the very first time we took it out to beat them up like this, but you know, that's riding. We also punctured a tire pretty bad on the trail, and we punctured this tire pretty bad as well. So hope you liked today's video. You can see that's a gnarly dent right there in that one. But as I said, that's what these are for. Protect your chassis and dent those up instead of beating up a very expensive side-by-side. So guys, make sure to tune into the next episode where we'll be installing the 32-inch tires from Super ATV. We have some awesome beadlock wheels. So really excited about that. That's going to give us a lot more ground clearance. And we have some springs coming from Shock Therapy that's going to tune this suspension for all this weight that we're adding of aftermarket parts. The bumpers, the winches, we're going to put a spare tire with Super ATV spare tire mount on the back. And all that weight is making these shocks not be able to do their job like they was intended. So we're super pumped about this build. Hope you guys are. We're going to be doing some ride footage very soon. We're at the end of the build series now. We're about to do suspension stuff. Like I said, the Shock Therapy springs. We're going to do the forward offset A-arms from Super ATV, Rhino 2.0 axles. We're going to do some stuff in the rear. So we're really pumped to finish this thing up and really go on some adventures for you guys to join us on. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give us a like and a comment down below. Make sure to check out the links in the video's description where you can find everything we've used on this vehicle and are going to use from Super ATV. They've been an awesome supporter of this build, and we can't wait to see where this Talon takes us, literally where she takes us. But make sure to like, comment, check out those links. We love you guys, and God bless.